Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Everquest Old School. And on tonight's episode, we are going to be playing my Shaman. In fact, I have been playing my Shaman for a little while already, and you guys may have noticed that he's gotten a level. He's level 18, he's almost level 19, which is when he's going to get his new level spells. And then I'm going to have to go back and buy some of the old level spells that he hasn't gotten yet. I kind of skipped over the ones where you had to go to the Evil City just because, well, for one, I don't play this guy all that much, and two, getting to the Evil City with a character like this is not one of the easiest things you can do. So what you're basically going to have to do is either make an alt, transfer over some gems on the ground or something along those lines that he can sell, and then buy the spells for you, and of course drop the spells in a backpack or something on the ground, and then you can pick them up that way, or get a friend to kind of help you do that transaction, or if he has one, a evil character, he can go inside, buy the spells for you. Of course, you can pay him for it, and then you can get your spells a little bit easier. I do have people who have offered to help me with that. I just, like I said, I don't play this guy that often, so it hasn't really come up. But this week, and by the time you guys see this, the week will already have been over. But if you guys see me on, you're like, oh, he's been on a lot this week. That's the week. I have the whole week off, so I will be playing Everquest a whole lot. And my goal this week is to get my cleric up to level 46. And some of you may be wondering, what's so special about level 46? Well, at 46, I can go to the plains. I can go to the plane of hate. I can go to the plane of fear. I can go to all these really, really cool places that I've been wanting to go to for quite some time. And I really want to do that. So that's what my goal is, to get him up there. I am currently level 35 with my cleric. So there's a long way to go with that guy. It is possible. I'll have to put in like 12-hour days in a dungeon, and I don't know if I'll put in that much time, but I'll definitely be playing a lot more than I normally do. And I'm going to be doing it in dungeons, and I'm going to be doing it pretty much by myself. Chupa and a few other guys may log on from time to time. I may be able to do a few videos with them as it arrives or as it comes up. But I think for the most part, you're going to get to see me doing groups with people that I normally don't do groups with, and just experiencing that, because you guys watch my videos and you'll see that a lot of the time we get into trouble, and we're talking to each other in Skype, and we're like, should we run it or should we stay? Oh, I got something on me. Can you guys help me get it off of me? That is really, really useful in this game when you have that ability to do so. But it changes when you're in a regular group. When you're in a regular group and people have to read the text or you have to type things out, you'll notice there's a lot less conversation going on when it comes to, hey, I'm blind, or I'm rooted, or can you please get this mob off me? People will say it from time to time, but usually only when it's super important and they're about to die, because they have to stop what they're doing. They have to stop trying to cast root. They have to stop trying to move away from the mob, whatever the case may be, so they can type that out. Depending on how fast they can type will depend on how often they use that capability to do so. So it's really in your interest to know how to type fast in this game, because you do want to communicate, hey, I am blind, I'm the puller, I can't see my way back to the group. If there's a secondary puller or secondary tank, something like a bard or a rogue, even though they really shouldn't be tanking, if they can come down halfway down the corridor and pull that off of, say, the Shadow Knight or the Warrior, so much the better, because right now you're basically getting beat on, and you may end up dying in that corridor just because you can't make it the next 10 feet. So as a tank, it's really in your interest to know the area so that you might be able to make it back to the room blind. It is possible to do so. I've done it many times in the past when I played my Shadow Knight. It's not really that difficult, especially since, to be honest, you're going to be making that run a whole lot. Whatever room that you're in is going to be a room you're going to be staying in, usually for hours. And as you're there for hours, you're going to get very, very familiar with where the mobs spawn, what the spawn timer is on them, and the order in which you're pulling them. It really comes down to how you want to pull. If you're going to break that area open and you're going to, if there's 3 or 4 rooms you're pulling from, you need to decide which rooms you pull from first. Is there even a worry on which ones you pull from first? Sometimes there is. Sometimes passing by a room with mobs behind you will pull all the aggro from that room. Other times, no, nothing will happen. So, you can go ahead and pull whatever room you want. But whatever order you do it in, you're going to be running that same order again and again and again because you're constantly looking for new things to kill because your group's killing too quickly. And usually, if you're playing during prime hours, there's a group somewhere close next to you that's pulling as well. And so you're sharing the locations. There's kind of a, every room kind of has a area that people kind of agree on that, okay, those are your rooms. You got a group there you can pull from the named, that you're sitting in the room that you definitely always, or I guess I shouldn't say always because there's always exceptions, but usually you're going to be sitting in the room where the name spawns. And then, you'll be pulling from, say, 2 or 3 rooms around that just for extra experience. There's no names in those rooms. If there's a named mob, say, 3 corridors down, and if there's 3 or 4 rooms around them, that's their room. That's their area that they can pull from. There's usually a gray period or gray area in the middle where you're far enough away from your room and far enough away from the other room that there's a few mobs in there. And those usually are somewhat difficult to break. And once they're broken, then everybody just tries to go in there and clear them. And they're usually just free-for-all. If whoever gets in there first gets them. And that's why I kind of am talking about getting that pattern going. Because if you get the pattern going and okay, I killed this mob, and 30 seconds later this mob spawns, I know I need to be there. You can get there before anybody else does because you got the leg up. You know when it's going to spawn. So it really does help you out to do that. But you don't have to. It's just one of those things that I prefer to do. And usually if you're going to try to get a decent amount of experience, you're going to want every kill you can possibly get as fast as you can get them. So, if your group can handle it, don't try to do anything your group can't handle, because that's another biggie, guys, is sometimes you will be in a group with, say, somebody like this. This is a tank. He's a warrior, and he's really, really well equipped. You can tell just how well equipped this guy is by looking at his armor. He has the green hero bracers. He has his brown armor on here. I'm guessing is the warrior gear that is just kicking some serious butt. So he takes very, very little hits. And on top of that, he has a lot of hit points. When I heal him, granted, I am healing him with like the crappiest heal spell in the world, this light healing. I get my new heal spell at level 19, which is why I'm so looking forward to actually getting that level with this guy. Normally, like I said, I would be on my cleric, though. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of people on. I'm pretty early in the morning, and people are at work, they're doing other things, and so there's just not a lot of groups in Mistborn, which is where I tried to find a group. There's 10 or 15, actually only about 10 people there. I shouldn't say 15, about 10 people there, 11 or 12 when I was there earlier, and it's actually kind of gone down since then. But nobody around my level. They're all pretty much the pawn group and a little bit next to that. So my level of 35, just slightly higher than the groups that are looking for it at the moment. And so I just decided after sitting there for about 45 minutes that I'd go ahead and log on to this guy, maybe get him up a few levels. If I can get him up to around level 22, 23, I can actually take him over to Mistborn and do the pawn group, since that seems to be a pretty good spot. And while I'm there, I can keep an eye open for new groups that are going to pop up. And then just log on to my cleric since I'm already there. But he's just not high enough level to do so yet. So I got into this group. Luckily, this guy, he was like, I don't know how long I'm going to be here, but you're welcome to come over here and join with me. And I've been here for about an hour, hour and a half. And, he's still here, and we're still getting some really good experience. He says that staff is really good. Let me ask him what staff is it? But yeah, he's doing a lot of damage. You can tell he's definitely tweaked out. But I love it. I love it because it's, there it is, Staff of Battle. 31, 37, holy crap. Like 500 platinum East Commons. Wow, that is not bad. Damage on that sucker. Oh, sorry, hit the mic. That's why I don't like typing too much with this setup, is the mic comes out right in front of me, and then the keyboard is sitting on my lap. And anytime I use the keyboard, the wire that kind of dangles from it, and the mic is right there. Couldn't use it till 20. Wonder why you couldn't use it till 20. Huh. Is a level cap on? I've never heard of a level cap on any of the items in old school EverQuest. Let me ask him. Oh, is that when they get their two-handed ability? No, they should have two-handed ability right off the bat. He's a warrior. I don't know. I haven't played a warrior in a very very long time, so I'm not familiar when they get that skill. Although I could have sworn they get that day one. So I don't know. Let's see what he says on that one. But yeah, it's definitely a nice stab. Kind of reminds me the look of it, anyways. It was capped at 28 damage. Oh, okay. So 31 damage, and it's capped at 28, huh? Now I can hit up for like 110. Yeah, he was doing some crits earlier for 110, and that's amazing for these creatures at this level. That is just insane amount of damage. I mean, that's kind of close to what a rogue will do with a somewhat normal weapon. Granted, if you get a rogue with just an amazing backstab weapon, they're going to do a lot more damage than that. But that's still pretty good amount of damage. I don't know, 28 still sounds pretty good to me as well, but maybe he had something better than that. Yeah, he's hitting like a beast. Yeah, I was going to say he's hitting instead of you're hitting. There we go. But yeah, it's a good group. I mean, the experience is not as fast as it would be if we had, or if we could go into high keep. And this guy may go into high keeps at some point. But you know, I'm just kind of killing time till I can go over there with my cleric and start getting him some levels. He's about 40%, a little bit less than 40% actually, but he's about 40% into his level so far, and he's doing, you know, pretty well in the groups that he's in. He got superior healing. It's just one of those things that I'm really looking forward to getting complete healing. It's going to change the game for my cleric. And I do remember at some point, I don't remember what level it was around. I think it was around level 50, that superior healing really kind of went the way of the dodo. Like, I didn't really use it all that much. It's not an efficient healing spell. It does a whole lot of healing, but it takes something like 6 seconds to cast, and it eats up so much power. And it kind of falls in between the greater heal, and of course it falls exactly in between there. But I'm saying, as far as the healing it does, it falls in between greater healing and complete healing. Most of the time, if you are paying attention and you're somewhat good with your class as a cleric, complete heal is all you need. If somebody needs superior healing, if they actually have the hit points to use superior healing on them, an extra 4 seconds, if you know what you're doing, should not cost them their life. And it's going to cost you less power in the long run to use that spell. So I tend to kind of, use complete healing on those who need it and those who can actually get the most use out of it, and then use greater healing on everybody else. Because greater healing for a caster, all you really need. If you're using superior healing on a caster, they are either, like raid geared out to wazoo and they have like some of the best stuff in the game, or you're wasting power. And even if they're raid geared, out the wazoo, and don't ask me where that is because it's disgusting. But no, I'm just saying, if they even are that well equipped, you still probably won't want to use superior healing on them. It's not efficient. Even it's hard to say because complete heal takes 10 seconds, guys. 10 seconds is a long time in this game when it comes to combat. So if they could use a complete heal, a caster's not going to survive 10 seconds. He's going to survive 4 seconds, maybe 6 seconds if he's absolutely lucky and he's able to throw a shield on or something along those lines. Then maybe he might be able to do that. But yeah, 10 seconds is just a little too long for a caster. Very, very few times do I remember ever using a complete heal on a caster, and usually the times I can recall it are times where he is after the fact, after the fight, has gotten disease or poison or something weird on him. His life is going down. I have plenty of time. I can see how fast his life is going down. Okay, I'm going to time this. He's at 60%. I can see it's going down 4% every tick. I'll wait till it gets down to about 40%, then I'll cast. And by the time it goes off, he's at 10%. And I get a full complete heal on him, and I use a little bit less power than if I had to use a greater healing like twice or something like that. So there will be situations. That's why you almost never want to say you never want to do this or you never want to do that, because there are those situations where you will kind of have to break those rules, but it's not too often. So in principle, casters, never going to use a complete heal, and warriors, you're always going to use a complete heal. The only instant in a warrior that you're going to use superior healing again, and that's why I always kept it mimmed, is in those situations where he pulls too many, or you get ads, or he gets diseased, or something weird where his life is going down dramatically fast, and you don't have time to cast complete heal because he's going to die. He's going to die in just a couple of seconds. Complete heal takes 10. My buffs are starting to fade. I definitely will get those back. Oh, he's talking about the shaman buffs. Yeah, we got some really, really high shaman buffs earlier, and we were kicking some butt. Mine just aren't going to cut it. Mine just aren't that great yet. One day, though. One day for sure. But, yeah, it's one of those things where, you really have to watch the timing. That's one thing about clerics that is really the most important thing than anything else, is timing. You look at other classes, enchanters, they got to be on the ball right at the very beginning of the fight because they have to mez and stun and do all this stuff. Other classes, like a wizard, his timing really just depends on him not attacking too soon so he doesn't get aggro. Necro is kind of the same thing. Just don't attack too soon. You get to actually sit back and kind of relax in that sense. The cleric, a lot of the time in a lot of fights, he doesn't even do anything. I would say if you get into a good group with a good tank, you can sit back and just med for 4, 5, maybe 6 fights in a row without ever casting a heal or anything. And groups are perfectly fine with that. Even if you're full power and just sitting there on your power and not doing anything with it, they're okay with that for the most part because they know that occasionally bad things happen. If you want to stay about 80% and use a stun every once in a while and definitely buff people up and things of that sort, that's fine too. But I would never go lower than 80% just yet. Yeah, and they don't last for an hour yet either. Yeah, that's definitely true for my buffs. But yeah, I would never go below 80% because you just never know when he will, for whatever reason, pull 4 mobs into that room. And you will see it without an enchanter. You can do 4 mobs. You can definitely heal him through that. But it's going to take nearly your entire power to do so. And they know that. They know that situations like that arise out of the blue. And if you're not allowed to med, if you're not allowed to get that power back up to full and kind of keep it there, then when those situations do arise, everybody's going to die. And even though as a cleric, having one in your group, it's still nice that even if you die, he can res everybody, but it's a pain in the butt to get back down to your corpses a lot of the time. And I'm thinking of like Seb and Lower Guck. Lower Guck's not so bad, but Seb is a nightmare when you're talking about getting back to your corpses in some of the areas. The further down you go, the harder it is to get to your corpses. So people will tend not to go down into areas like that until they know that they can trust the group that they're with. He hates being slowed. Once you get to 24, it's a new game. Yeah, I can't wait to get there and try that out. But yeah, once you get a little deeper into the dungeons, it can get really, really rough to get your corpses back. So people tend not to want to die in the first place. And even if you do have a 90% res, that's still 10% you lost right there. And you're thinking of like levels in Seb. Most of the time, people in Seb are 50 plus, which means every level 50 plus is another heck level, one harder than the one previous. So you're at like 54, you lose 10%. That may be like 2 hours or 3 hours in a really good group. That's a lot of experience to lose. Now, you're not losing 100%, but it's still not as nice as not losing any. Right? So if you can avoid a death, they want to. Even if that means, hey, the cleric is at 50%, let's give him a minute to med up because we just don't want to risk this next pull that's going to be 4 mobs, and it may be pretty rough, it may not, but let's side on with caution on that one rather than risking it, because if we risk it and we die, that's a 45, 50-minute corpse run sometimes, maybe longer, maybe less, depending on how well organized you are and the makeup of the zone at the time, whether people are camping certain spots. You can kind of run past that when it's clear, things of that sort. If you wait 4 or 5 minutes, you don't lose any of that experience, and then you don't have to do that corpse run, which could also result in another death. So it's just going to be at higher levels, you think about the game a little differently because you got more to lose, and it takes longer to get stuff, and you've gone through that experience. Like once you've gone through a few bad corpse runs, you are less likely to kind of be willy-nilly about let's just jump in there and see how it goes, because you know how bad it can suck when it happens. Now, I'm not saying that you become overly cautious and you kind of lose that excitement of the game, but you do understand the risk versus reward aspect of the game a lot more than you normally do, at least at a lower level. So you will find that most people will be like, no, we don't really have an enchanter. Let's not go down to that room. I mean, we could probably do it, but if this happened, we'd all die, and I just don't feel like doing that. So they will just, side with caution on that one and go someplace different, someplace a little bit easier, less experience, maybe less on the loot side, maybe not as good items drop there, or maybe they just don't drop as often and things of that sort. And they will wait until they can get something in there. And at these lower levels, I'm always saying that if you got a space open in your group, go ahead and invite somebody into them. And that's definitely the way I tend to play the game. But I know at higher levels, people will leave spaces open in their group. You may have 4 people, you may have 5 people, and there may be 10 or 15 people in your in the zone looking for a group. However, they're not the classes you want. They may not be the DPS or the enchanter. So they leave a spot open because they know that, hey, if we get that enchanter, we can go to a better spot. That's all we need, right? So let's just have 5 guys, get the classes we want and make up the perfect makeup to a group. Unfortunately, you don't always have that option to do that in a zone or a group that you're in, and so sometimes you just want to go with whatever is available. You do have to be a little picky sometimes. I mean, having a group of, say, 4 warriors and an enchanter and no healer in lower Guck, not really going to work for you. You just can't do it. Now, if you had, say, 4 paladins and an enchanter, that is definitely doable. Why is it kind of reverse in that one? Well, because paladins can heal, even slightly. And then you throw in like an enchanter who can give everybody clarity. And of course that you have 4 paladins, you have 4 tanks, so they can take turns taking the hits, take turns dealing out the heals, and each one of them has a lay of hands. It completely changes the game. So you have to know what each class can do, what they're capable of doing, how well that person is good at playing that class, and kind of change things up based off of that. But yeah, you really have to learn the classes as you level. Otherwise, when you finally get to a high level, this is one of the things back in the day you would find when people would get to high levels and then they would sell their accounts. And it was completely illegal back then, and I think it's still illegal to do it today. If somebody ever finds out about it, they get rid of your account altogether. But people would still do it. They would get to a high level, whatever the max was. They'd get a lot of gear. They may even have several characters on that account. It may be their main account. They'd just be like, "Oh, I'm done playing the game. I'm moving on to something else, or I can't afford the time anymore." Whatever the case may be, and then they hear about how they can sell their account. They used to do this, and so you would have like a really good friend, or at least somebody that you knew, playing the game, and they'd have a high level character, and then all of a sudden they start acting differently, and you're like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing anymore, and he's making mistakes, and his personality has changed, and all this other stuff. But when that happened, it was pretty self-apparent because they would make a lot of mistakes. I mean, it's something that you notice over time what other characters can do. Like I've even mentioned it when I first started the game. You can look at certain people and look at their armor and be like, oh, that's a warrior. Oh, that's a bard. That's a mage. You can look at that and kind of tell what classes they're playing. Casters are a little harder to do because a lot of the time they use the exact same robe as a lot of the other casters out there. But as they get to higher and higher level, you will see that they do have robes that are specifically made for one class or the other. And when they start wearing those robes, then you can be like, okay, that's the mage, that's the enchanter. And then you couple into the fact that, enchanters are going to have certain items in their hand. This guy's getting really close to dying, and I told him I have no power left. So let's go into first-person view. And he's on me now, but that's all right. If I can take a few hits for him, then so much the better, because I'm already at full life. And I have to give him some life on this one, otherwise he's not going to survive. 277. Wow, is that how much he just hit for? It might have been. He was hitting for 110. 277 is really nice, though. or it could just be the fact that he's hitting 2, 7, and 7 on his keyboard, and he happened to have that up in there. You'll see that from time to time as well, especially when it comes to people who have to do that a lot, like bards. If they're typing something and they forget to hit that enter button after they've finished typing, and at the very end of what they were saying, like, oh yeah, let's go to that room, and then at the very end it says 5 6 6 6 5 6, and stuff like that. It's because they're twisting and they forgot to click that off. So it's kind of embarrassing, but it's funny to see because everybody knows exactly what's going on and they understand because it's happened to them as well. But that's probably what he's doing. But 7 is really high up. Most people will do like 1, 2, 3, and 4 as their main, but 7 is pretty rough on that one. Let's see, what level is this guy? Level 60 assassin. He may be here to try to take the camp if we're going to leave anytime soon. Some people will camp this thing in high levels mainly because it drops the idol over here. And the idol, a lot of high levels will use, and it sells, I believe somebody was saying, it used to be 600 platinum, but somebody was saying it's more upwards on the 800 platinum. And it's dropped one time tonight. Unfortunately, I lost the random on it. One of the bags dropped too, and I lost the random on that as well. So my randoms, they always suck. I'm used to that. I've never really won anything in the game when it comes to randoming. Thankfully, with my friends, a lot of the time we'll random, and occasionally I actually win. It's actually kind of funny to see because, they have to get really horrible numbers for it to happen. I think the last couple of times I random, I got a 22 for the idol, and I got a 40 for the backpack. So, and his numbers were 90 and like 78 or something like that. So, yeah, it's like way on the other side of that one. But, I'm pretty much just here to kill a little bit of time until people start logging on and get one more level. That way I can get my new heal spell, and I can go over to maybe Unrest for a couple levels, get some really good experience there because it is a dungeon, and there's a lot of people on an Unrest right now. If I had this guy up a few levels earlier this morning, I would have went straight to Unrest and just been fighting there for the last couple hours until people started logging on, and I could go over to Mistborn and get in a group. But, I wasn't, I can go over there at like level 15, but it's a long run over there, and then once I get over there, I have to buy my new level spells, and not all of them are available on that continent. Not all of them are available on this continent either, but I do need to get some of the ones from the Evil City, and I'm hoping that one of my friends will log on, Chupa or somebody along those lines that has an evil character, and I can, kind of, get them to help me out, get those spells over there. And this guy, like I said, is really just the one that I'm killing a little bit of time on till, I can get onto the cleric, and I'm going to have him every morning. So, like, when I log on in the morning and nobody's ever on, then I can play this guy, and, I'm not wasting any time just sitting in a zone line waiting for a group that's, not going to happen anytime soon. So, the one thing that I really do like, though, is the fact that I can level up this shaman will allow me to still group with my friends that are level 30s and stuff like that. I can still do it at 46 with my cleric, but the drawback to that is I believe every person in the group has to be able to get experience off of the mob for anybody to get experience off of the mob. So even though technically I will be within the level range of fighting with them, and if we could find mobs that I'd get experience off of, they'd get experience off of, the downside to that is for them to get experience, I'd have to be killing something close to a level 46, and they'd be level 33, 34, 35. They'd have to be fighting something close to 10 levels higher than them, maybe 5 levels higher than them, and either way, that's a really tough mob. If your tank is that high, so much the better, because the tank can handle it. The cleric being that high, yeah, he has better heal spells, and he could probably res you for an experience res, but beyond that, he's not going to be that great of a use in that fight because he's not the one taking it. And, it just, when you're taking creatures that are so much higher than you, it really, takes a toll on the person taking those damage. So I'm hoping what I'll end up doing so I don't, bypass them too much is I'll just level this guy up to around 30 if I can, or close to it. Even if I can get him up to like 25, that's still within like the level range of grouping with them. And since all he's going to be doing is healing, taking the place of my cleric, he's not going to do a fantastic job in that role, even if he was level 35. But he's going to be able to do enough if he can. So he needs strength, and dex would be great if he can manage. Yeah, let's actually do that real quick. I think I can use a little bit of my power to do just that. Not a whole lot, but enough to give him the spells, because he does do pretty much all the damage in the group, and strength is definitely going to help him out with that. And the dex allows his stuff to proc a little bit more, I believe. Although I don't know how many things he has procking, but we're going to go ahead and give it to him anyways. And I've finally gotten a little bit familiar with these spells. You know, I watch Super Bits and Bob all the time, and he just absolutely loves shamans. I, never really gave them a chance, to be honest. I always compared them to my cleric and the healing capability, because I was playing with Thum, and he's a warrior, and as a warrior, I was like, oh man, I could never heal that guy enough, because he has so many freaking hit points. There we go, guys. Level. Nice. Let's let him know that I got my ding. Because I don't know if he's waiting for me to get my ding so he can head out or not, but I'll just let him know. But yeah, it's one of those things that, I just could never quite get it up high enough on my healing for Thune to quite be, self-sufficient with that. And I was just like, I can't wait to play my cleric who has, 2 tier higher spells on his healing than this guy does at pretty much the same level. It's kind of ridiculous, but, the shamans really aren't made to be the main healer. They can be if they have to be, but they're not really, that's not the role they shine in. And since that's the role that I pretty much put this guy in from the start, this is a role that he's playing right now too, that he's doing the best he can, but can't quite keep up with the heals when it comes to this guy either, because he's a warrior as well, and he's really well equipped for the level. But, they really shine when it comes to higher levels, when they finally get their pet and they get the canny so they can cannibalize themselves and get power back for it, when they get regen. Nice that we're able to keep this clear. Yeah, it gives me time to med up a little bit. But yeah, when you get the cannibalize and you get the regen spells and you start getting all these really, really cool buff spells, the strength, the dex, the agility that none of the other classes get. And then, of course, like I said, your pet that you get, it really starts coming together as just this amazing class. They can solo, they can be part of groups, they can go by and buff groups up like nobody's business and then go about their way, and that group can last for hours on those buffs and just kick some serious butt with them. So they are an amazing class if you play them for the class that they should be played for. I'm playing it as a cleric, and they're not made to be a cleric, and I think that's why I never really made a connection with them. I never really quite grasped what they could do, and kind of fell in love with the class as much as I've seen other people fall in love with it. Because, we have ZK who plays a shaman as well, and he absolutely loves playing his shaman. We have a lot of people that we've done groups with who play shamans, and they can't, say enough about shamans, the way they play the game and just how well they interact with the other players and, just everything about them. So, I do want to give him a chance. And I just hope that eventually I can get into a group where he can play the role of a shaman rather than the healer. And I know I've heard other people kind of get angry about, like druids, they get into a group and they're like, I'm not a healer, I don't want to heal, let me do my dots and my area effects and my direct damage spells. And, I kind of understand what they're going through, because you just don't do nearly enough. Oh crap, this guy's gonna die. I'm gonna do all I can to save him, but I don't know. We'll see here. I have a little bit of power, maybe enough to bring him back from the brink. He does do a lot of damage, and if he can kill that thing off fast enough and come over here and kill this thing off fast enough, we may have a chance. If not, we'll have to run it to a guard or something along those lines, because I'm really, really low on power, and my heal spells suck. Look at that. I am barely keeping him up. Let's, come on. Where's Adamana? Adamana. We might want to run it. We might want to run it, guys. He's not going to be able to do that. Not at 5%. Let me say, run? Question mark? Might be a good idea. Come on. No, don't die. Don't die. No, not at 1%. Oh, can I heal him? Can I heal him? Can I? Nope, I cannot heal him. He is unconscious on the ground. Oh, man, that sucks. So close. It's because we didn't have those shaman buffs anymore, and these guys are going to have to take care of it for us. That sucks, man. I don't know what he was thinking. The fact that I got so low on life, and then he decided to keep going, that's just nuts. Oh, this thing is just coming after me like crazy. I'm going to have to run it. I had to run it all the way over here. Hopefully he's bound somewhere close by. A warrior, he's probably bound over here at the entrance to Highpass if he didn't think he was Uber. You know, if you're Uber, you might be like, I don't care if I'm down. I didn't see the caster around the corner when I pulled. Oh, well. Yeah, that really sucks that he died. But guys, I think we're going to go ahead and end the episode here. I do want to thank you all for watching, and I will catch you all next time.